Hi everyone, it's Mel again. So welcome on another episode of Mel's Talks. This is our English series, and today I'm with Elena Reva, an entrepreneur here from London. Thank you, Elena, for coming to Mel's Talk.
Thank you, Melanie, for inviting me.
Sure. So Elena's story is very inspiring. She's originally from Russia. She came here in London. First, she went into the property business, and now she has found her own brand. So it's very interesting to know how she made it as an entrepreneur, what challenges she faced, and what are the advices that she can give you today. So let's start this episode.
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. So Elena, my first question, I always ask this question on Mel's Talk, is if you had to describe yourself with 3 words, or if your best friend had to describe you with 3 words, what would it be? I know it's a bit difficult.
It's very difficult. But I think I'm a hard worker. That's number one, yes. I would believe, because I believe that if you want to achieve something, you need to work very hard.
That's true.
And you need to put yourself in all sorts of challenges. Otherwise, you will not achieve anything. Another thing is that I'm a dreamer.
A dreamer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm constantly in my fantasies. Whenever I go to work, from work, anywhere, falling asleep. So I'm constantly imagining different situations. And I absolutely love it. I think all my ideas came from my dreams.
Really?
Yes.
What is super interesting.
And the third one, I think, from even when I was maybe 10, I thought, if I was a hard worker from when I was a little girl, because I was doing sport, I was doing, lots of studies. And I thought, no, but I can't dedicate just fully myself just to that. It would be it would turn me into a very boring personality, which I could not, because classmates were so fun. And I thought I would always incorporate fun in my life.
Fun, yes, you're right.
So I would say that fun is always a part of me. So it can't be just hard working all the time. There has to be a space for fun, and I really enjoy this part of me as well.
Nice, I like those 3. So for people who don't know you, Elena, can you just take us back a bit about what you did, your childhood, a bit back in Russia maybe, or just your studies, for people who don't know you? Can you tell us what did you do?
It's a long story. To cut story short, maybe, I don't know, it's quite a long story. So I was born in a little, not very little, but reasonably little town in Russia, so which is right at the east coast, very close to Japan. If you know that, the Moscow is close to Europe, and I was close to east part of this world. And at some point I thought, I'm ready to go and challenge myself. So I relocated to Moscow.
Okay. Alone or with your
Alone,
family?
yes, with the advice of my friends that, you can do everything. And actually I believe that I can do everything.
That's great.
And in Moscow I sort of started as a sales manager, which actually was quite unexpected, because I told you, Melanie, that I graduated I have a philological degree, which is quite different to sales position, but in a way sales is actually knowing people, and literature is about knowing people. So in a way I connected it very well, and I thought I was excellent salesperson, even though I was selling chemical products as my first job in Moscow. And actually, good thing was that somehow I managed to learn English. At that time, Russia, I don't know if you know, it's Soviet Union collapsed, and it was complete mess. And I don't know why it crossed my mind that English would be my future. So I learned English myself, and when I came to Moscow, it was so much of use, because I managed to get this fantastic job in a chemical concern, and I think they took me simply because I knew English, not because of anything else, not because of my philological degree. But at that time, probably very few people spoke English in Russia. So this is how I started my career, and then very soon after I moved to properties.
Yes, so that's very interesting.
That is where probably my sort of entrepreneurial skills started to grow.
You talked about entrepreneurial skill. How would you connect the fact that being in property business is connected to be also an entrepreneur? Like what type of skills you had to to prove?
Property business, I started property business selling Cyprus properties, and my sort of agreement with the company was commission based.
Okay.
So in a way I was put in a cold water. So if you sell, you leave. If you don't, you don't. Yes, I was very lucky. So in a way, so I had to work days and nights. At that time in Russia, it was, as I said, it was like complete mess. It was not clear what people were doing every day. It was a change of currency. There was no really understanding what there was no any stability. So at some point, ruble collapsed like few hundred times in 1-2 days. People lost almost all the money, and it was a really hard time. And I think this sort of fun part of me helped me sort of to, in a way, not to lose optimism, and in a way not to maybe even to see anything. I was sort of stubborn. I was thinking that Cyprus property was the only solution for everyone, and probably that actually helped to many people, because so many people at that time really didn't know what to do, and they lost hope, and they left Russia. And in fact, one of the possibilities was Cyprus, and I helped so many people to take this possibility, to find out about these possibilities.
Yes.
And it obviously helped me to turn into a business person in a way who could manage this little business of Cyprus properties.
Exactly. So for our audience, to be clear, you were helping Russian people buy apartments or properties back in Cyprus, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now that we are here in London, how you came from Russia to London? Like, what made you want to move to London?
Yes, that's very interesting. I met with my future husband, who just graduated from university here. He's English, and in fact, my husband Chris, he was always fascinated by the history of Russia, history in kings, and obviously Russia made a huge part in war history, so that he always wanted to travel Russia to sort of see what it is. And actually, as soon as he came to Russia, so very soon after we met, and in fact it was like a proper love story. And in a couple of years of dating, so we sort of in a way started thinking, all right, okay, if you wanted to give it a go, so we need to understand how to live together, because Chris lived in UK, I lived in Russia, and it was like a distant relationship, which is quite difficult.
So at the time, you've never been to the UK? Like, you had an idea?
I've been on excursion, yes.
On excursion, okay.
But didn't have like a lot of sort of knowledge about UK. And sort of at that time, we had like a brainstorm with my future husband, and we decided that why not to have just one version of our future living, but let's develop two ways, so which is much safer. So let Chris to try to become to get a job in Russia. And at that time, he did not really have a job, and he decided to try to become like international lawyer, so that to have a possibility to live in Russia. And for me, just why not to try to see what we can do in properties in London.
Yes.
And that was an idea which pushed me forward, and this is how I started researching about London's properties.
Exactly. And at the beginning, as you said, like building this business of property in London was very hard for you, right? There was a challenge, no? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, it was absolute challenge, you know. I didn't know it would be so difficult. Initially, I was so optimistic. I thought, wow, I successfully developed my Cyprus business. What's wrong with property in London? And when I came to London, I made my research. I arranged some meetings with top companies, which were mainly agencies, because at that time it was very hard to find like proper developers here. And London at that time didn't have all these new build as you see now. You know, there were really like a couple of names. And yeah, I met with Savills, Knight Frank, and all big agencies. So to say, oh, hi, you know, here I am, you know, I'm very happy to sell your properties, let's share your commission. And instead I had like really sort of like big question in their eyes. You know, at that time they really like sort of like felt very confident. They had their market. They didn't really want anything else. They did not know much about Russian market, and they didn't really want it. And fundamentally, they didn't want to share any commission they were having.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So they had like a very good commission, and they were very happy with it. And they didn't really want to know anything about extra markets. And it was such disappointment for me because I could not expect it. I couldn't expect such a snobbish sort of perception of all these big companies, big guys would be talking to me. And in a way I felt like, no one needs me. I was shocked, how it's extra business, extra properties, extra money you can earn, and absolutely not. I was about to give up at that point because I visited absolutely everyone. It was actually, I remember it now because it was cold. It was really unpleasant feeling, like sometimes winter here is not very pleasant, and plus this sort of emotions from meeting with all these agencies. And I thought, really? Shall I stop? And at that point I had just one telephone number of one guy whom I met in Moscow. He was a director of very strange development company which I checked. They built some properties in Essex, and I thought, Essex, for Russian people, no Essex. But still decided to call him. And he was very happy. He was very happy. He was like sort of, I remember you, let's meet. And I thought, why? How can I help with properties in Essex? Still went to this meeting, being, without any expectation of any business. And he said, you know what? We just bought a site in Battersea. And I said, Battersea, I know Battersea. At that time I also didn't know London very well. Battersea, I've heard Battersea, yes. I said, wow, wonderful. And he showed me actually the brochure, which was okay, which was nice. And I thought, wow, it's quite a presentable brochure. And he said, I pay you commission.
Wow.
Which was like, wow, I would take anything when I was offered commission. And it was actually quite a nice area. And that was my ticket to win. In fact, yes, we, on that year, in that particular project, which is called Bridges Wharf, and I'm still thankful to Western Homes, which actually gave me this ticket to this market, and we sold more than 30 properties. We helped to so many people, and in fact we created like a shock in London when Russians started buying this very strange location like Battersea and and directly from developer. So we created so many trends, and since that I think we even influenced the market.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And so at that time, so you had your entrepreneurial skill, you really was an entrepreneur actually, and you are still. So what made you now move from property to now this business of Dermoi? So can you tell us a bit more?
So we, the property company was opened in 2006, and since that we sold for more than $500 million of properties, which is a lot of properties. And we also developed our own properties. But recently, since Brexit, we were extremely disappointed with the market, and we thought
You felt that change for the Brexit?
I think so. It's a huge. Brexit has a huge impact on property. There are also some other internal sort of reasons why the market slowed down. But we did not leave the property. But I thought we would slow down, and maybe we'll use this time, which is very difficult and it's very slow. We will better use this time for creating something which is fascinating, which is big, which is interesting. And that's how I started my skincare project, which is actually was a dream for a long, long time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm a fanatic of skincare, and I had lots of thoughts about skincare, and I'm so thankful to Brexit because it gave me some time and some opportunities, to free myself to do something nice. Yes.
Okay, so how about now, how the idea came to you, and what was the different steps you put? What was the first step towards making this idea a real business? What did you do?
So idea was in my mind since long time ago. An idea in general is to create honest skincare, not to create, but to create a portal where people can buy skincare which really works. Because I personally, and as well as I know that many people, we are so much misled by big brands selling skincare at any money. It could be £5, it could be £500, and you really don't know what is there. Buying anything else, you buy like croissant, you know what is that. You buy your clothes, you understand why you're paying. And with skincare, you have no idea. And majority of brands, I would say 98%, are making us absolutely blind to what is inside. So my idea was to create a portal where we absolutely openly speak about products and their sort of impact on our skin. That's my main idea.
Wow. So after that you had this idea, Elena, what did you do? Like, did you find a team? Did you make the website? What was your next step?
Yeah, there were lots of steps. We are still working on this project. I would not say that we are that famous now.
Okay.
Yes, we launched the project in July, and we've been working on it since end of 2017. Sort of the actual idea is divided in two pieces. So it's an e-commerce shop where people go and buy just those products which are really effective. As I said, everything what we are selling, we are talking about it, about ingredients, percentages, how they impact our skin. And we are working only with clinical brands, which really proved by doctors and by scientific proofs. So, and this is e-commerce. And another part of our business is also facial treatments, where we are offering effective clinical facial treatments to clients so that they see the permanent change of their skin. And it's like two sort of wings of our business. And of course, we've been working on it for around 8 months before we launched it. Since we launched it, we made lots of changes, and I believe that it's a wave that everyone should go through. It can't be like whatever you dream, you just launch and everything is just successful. Yeah, we've done lots of launches. I would say that we still continue changing, and I think this is the way for everyone. You know, you need to change, improve, you know, see other trends, incorporate some other ideas, and in order to be successful now.
Great. And what were the different maybe mistakes you made that you learned from them, and maybe our audience today can also learn from that?
Main mistake, there are lots of small, and I would not call it mistakes, I would call it experience, and I'm very happy to show this, to share this experience, because it's very important that people listen and do their own lessons.
Exactly.
And I would believe that it is important to start with a smaller scheme. You know, for example, you want like a platform, you want one therapist working or two therapists working, so start with smaller thing and then slowly increase. So while what I was planning, I started straight away big.
You had like big.
And I think it's my mistake. I think it's actually a mistake which is caused by me being, allocating quite big budgets, and which a little bit spoiled the actual thing.
Okay.
So it's better to have less budget, and start with smaller things and see how it goes, and then steadily increase and make business bigger.
And like one of the issue when people say building their businesses is obviously money and finance. So for your case, how did you make the funding? Did you have your personal finances? Did you inject that money directly to your project? Did you have investments? How did it work, on all the financing part?
Yeah, in terms of financing, because obviously I can afford having a business, so that money received from property business, I invested here, and it's fully self-funded.
Okay.
Which is in a way good and bad. Good because I obviously want to go to fundraising, but only at the point when I feel it's absolutely safe for my investors. And this is just my personality. I can't offer you a business which is not tested. This is definitely my personality. But at the same time, I can see benefits of going to investors earlier, because really going to investors earlier, you would show them the business and in all different aspects, and they'll tell you straight away whether it has some weak points to pay attention to, especially if you are starting something absolutely new. Like beauty business is new for me, being in property for a long time. So in a way, if I went to investors in the first they would probably tell me, start
Yes.
with 2 therapists. No, don't start with 10 therapists,
Okay.
you know, that sort of thing. But in a way, yes, I believe that everyone has his own experience, but if someone is interested, I would recommend to also have consultation with investors. And if there are no enough funds, personal funds, it's a good idea to talk to investors and see what they say in order and if the project is really interesting. I'm sure that there are so many now companies which are interested in to invest at early stage.
Yes, definitely. And you know, in entrepreneurial journey, we always say like it's all about like the network and surrounding yourself with great people that will help your business. In your journey, who has been like a mentor for you, or who has like taught you, like maybe helped you during your difficult moments? Is there people that you really like get along with that inspires you like really daily for your business?
In fact, after I started my beauty business, I actually changed even, because property business in a way it's so focused. It's two different businesses. Yes, it's like opposite. It can't be more opposite, because property, especially in that sort of market which I operated in, which is like top, prime London, is very sort of focused, is very much based on personal relationship and contacts, while beauty is much wider. You can, you are talking to absolutely different steps. So it's marketing, it's communication with lots of influencers, lots of journalists, lots of absolutely different people. And in fact, it changed not slightly, completely my personalities. And in fact, I'm now so much happier because I started communicating with lots of communities of different types of people. For example, I'm happily going to crowd table, which I don't know if you know about this concept.
No.
It's a very interesting concept where a crowd table is like, it's actually a new company, maybe, they've been doing their business for 5-6 years. So in a way, you can subscribe for a dinner with certain task. There would be like a main speaker, and then there would be people who are interested in this sort of task. And you are actually mixing up with these people. You are talking about your sort of issues. They are talking. It's so interesting because you're exchanging your experience. You listen to their problems. In a way, you feel much better because you understand that, sort of in a way, this is a community of people in similar situation. It's very nice. And there are lots of, if you want, of course, I'll tell you more about lots of communities. So, for example, women in tech, yes, or women CEOs of the company. And I'm actually an active member of all of them because I'm so open now to all this experience, all these new people, and I'm very happy that Lana has all these opportunities.
Yes, great. So thank you so much, Elena. Before we talk a bit more off, like 3 questions that we love to ask during the Melsel Challenge, do you have anything else you want to add for our audience today that is watching you? Any advices you might want to say at the end?
It's. I think it's important. I think it's very important to challenge yourself.
Yes.
At the same time, it's very, very important to think about your idea and actually talk about this idea with people whom you trust. Don't feel scared that they will steal an idea.
Exactly.
I think the main thing is implementation. And if you know how to do it, if you think thoroughly about how to do it, talk with people whom you trust, I believe there would be something amazing. But be open about it.
Exactly, great. Okay, so we always have these 3 questions that we ask that are a bit different from all the business stuff. So Elena, what is the app that you use it every day you just can't get rid of?
I think it's Uber.
Uber.
It's very convenient.
Yes.
And I constantly need taxi.
You don't like to take the subway like in London? Is it like not really that convenient?
In many cases, Uber is much more convenient.
Yes, you're right. Then I came here in London. I think it's very hot. I don't know what, but I think the underground is super like, I don't know. This morning I didn't have that face, and when I just came here, I was like, my hair and everything. But,
try Uber.
Yeah, you're right. It's very fast. And last thing, do you have any book you recommend to us? Like anything you read that was very inspiring, an article, a book that you want to tell our audience?
in terms of business.
Yes, or not necessarily any other book that you like to read.
I would not, it doesn't cross my mind just any particular book because really I'm reading quite a lot, you know, and in business, actually business oriented. The last book I read, it was actually recently on my vacation, which was about women in business, which was written by actually a member of high profile club, which I mentioned to you before, by Tineke. And it's very interesting because it actually differentiates, you know, women's psychology in business. Because we think we are equal, or we try to present ourselves like equal, but the way we are taking decision is different.
It's different.
Yes. So that I would recommend.
That's interesting. I also want to go read that book. Thank you so much, Elena, for your time. I hope this interview was very inspiring for you. If you want to contact Elena, we'll put all the description and the description of her company and all the things we have talked about. And I'll see you on another episode of Mouse Talk.